Enough of corruption, say the masses in Chennai. The city joins hands to fight corruption the Gandhian way. Demand for the Lokpal bill gathers pace.
Doctors want money. Government doctors want money to give disability certificates.
Amma backs Hazare to call ending corruption, but cautions that without a committed and strong centre, the Lokpal bill will be useless.
Now here we have a Prime Minister who is silent, unable to act, weak, ineffectual.
Meanwhile, Amma sends her condolences to the DMK chief in advance, says that she will sweep the polls clean.
My own assessment is that our alliance will win not less than 218 seats.
But the Kalenier is not worried, says that he is confident of returning as the Chief Minister for a record 6th time. Royapuram has been left powerless. Locals complained of power cuts. Pollution is another issue that haunts the voters.
அடிக்கடி கரண்ட் வர போய் போதா அந்த மழை பெஞ்சா டைம்ல எங்களால எங்க ஓட முடியல ரொம்ப பயமா இருக்குதுங்க.
Vote for me, vote for better infrastructure. A young gun from Makal Sakti party calls out to the voters in Ambattur. And finally, the IPL season begins. KKR looks to challenge the Chennai Super Kings and Shah Rukh Khan shakes a leg. A very good evening and welcome to News Tonight with me, Ashmit Kumar. Of course, breaking news at this point has of course been the fact that Anna Hazare could finally break his fast. That's after the government was made to take unprecedented concessions. So that's the view coming in from Jantar Mantar at this point. From New Delhi, of course, big news, an awakening of a nation. That's what it's being termed by many analysts at this point. We'll come to that in just a bit. But first, a look at stories coming in from across the nation. Hazare makes the government summit with public pressure. Government offers co-chairmanship of the anti-graft committee. Compromise formula comes after Anna Hazare dispatches letters to Sonia Gandhi and Prime Minister pushing the NAC into motion. Prominent religious figure Chief Maulvi Shaukat Ahmed Shah is killed in a blast in Srinagar. And in a setback for Narendra Modi's aide Amit Shah, the Supreme Court orders a CBI probe into the Tulsi Ram Prajapati fake encounter case. Well, for more on that breaking development coming in from Delhi, of course, Anna Hazare almost very close to a point where he will be breaking his fast. And again, let's go across to our network channel 24/7 for more on this breaking development.
की तरफ है वो कृपया ध्यान दें। आमरण अनुशंकारियों से बात करना चाह रहे हैं। थोड़ा सब लोग बैठ जाए नीचे। अन्ना जी तो आप सब लोग बैठ जाए अपनी अपनी जगह। सभी लोग शांति से बैठे रहे अपनी जगह पे। अन्ना बात कर रहे हैं, सब लोग आराम से बैठ जाए। सारे लोग आगे जो भी है वो बैठ जाए। देखिए अन्ना जी 4 दिनों से आमरण अनशन पे हैं, तो आप लोगों से मेरा निवेदन है कि थोड़ी शांति बनाए रखें। उनकी आप लोगों से अपील है ये कि थोड़ी शांति बनाए रखें और हमारे वॉलंटियर्स को हमारे जो वॉलंटियर्स स्टेज के बाईं तरफ है उनसे मैं आग्रह करूंगा कि वहां अन्ना जी के आसपास भीड़ इकट्ठा ना होने दें और एक दूसरे को कोऑपरेट करें। जितने भी हमारे वॉलंटियर्स हैं वो स्टेज के बाईं तरफ मदद करें अन्ना जी की। देखिए सबसे रिक्वेस्ट है कृपया शांति बना रखें। आपके आसपास में जो आपके आजू बाजू वाले उनको साथ में लेके जहाँ पे भी है वहाँ बैठ जाए।
Well, we do believe now, though there was a cheer in the background after Anna Hazare came out to make that announcement after the activists all met following the government's proposals, that the deadlock still continues, that Anna Hazare will continue with his fast. We do believe, our reporters telling us from their sources, that there is a division against the government. In fact, the activists are not happy with the government's proposal to have two posts as a chairman and a convener. Anna Hazare reportedly, from our sources, tells us that he wants the two heads from the government side and the activist side to be of equal stature. We do know that Anna Hazare is not in favor of the government's proposal. The government had suggested two different posts as heads, maybe a chairman and a convener. This was decided at a meeting with Kapil Sibal. Those proposals were handed over to the activists. They came here and decided that, and what our sources are currently telling us is that Anna Hazare is not, in fact, happy with the fact that the two heads from the government side and from the activist side could possibly be of different stature. So they've probably read the fine print of the government's proposal. Also, what we've been told from our sources via reporters, Siddharth Pandey saying that it's not a done deal for the protesters yet. The main sticking point right now is the chairmanship of the joint committee. One of the activists, I do believe Siddharth Pandey has been told by his sources, was okay with two different posts as heads, maybe a chairman and a convener. This was decided at a meeting with Kapil Sibal earlier, but Anna Hazare apparently not in favor of this. He wants it to be equal. There have been two chairmen of whatever designations, but that they be equal in stature. So what we learned from our sources earlier was that the government sent back two proposals. There were two sticking points among the activists and the government side. One was the chairmanship of this joint committee. Earlier, the joint committee, there had been agreement between the government and activists that there would be a 50% representation. So, but one of the sticking points was who would chair that joint committee. Apparently, the government gave back a proposal which the activists, especially Anna Hazare, are not happy with. Sunil Prabhu now joins us for more on that. And Siddharth Pandey also joins us. Siddharth, if I can come to you first. I was just reading out your mail about what your sources have been telling you about why Anna Hazare is unhappy with the proposals.
Well, that's right. In fact, almost an hour and a half ago, everyone here was expecting news that Anna himself would announce that a decision had been reached. But the problem right now is the fact that Anna Hazare is basically saying that if a joint committee is to be formed, the chairperson has, both the chairpersons have to be exactly equal. You cannot have one chairperson and one convener. That, in a way, was a formula worked out at that meeting with Kapil Sibal. But Anna Hazare, our sources are telling us, has saying that nothing doing. If they're going to be, if there's going to be a chairperson, there'll have to be two chairpersons. If there's going to be a convener, there have to be two conveners. One from the government side, one from the protesters' side. The formula that was in a way worked out at Kapil Sibal's house, it seems, was that there would be a convener maybe and a chairman. But Anna Hazare is not okay with that, and that's why for almost 1.5 hours we've actually not heard Anna Hazare speak. In fact, intense talks going on right now between the front leaders of this campaign, Swami Agnivesh, Prashant Bhushan, Arvind Kejriwal, all locked in a room right now. They are talking amongst themselves as to what the next step should be. So it's not really a done deal here as far as the civil rights activists and protesters are concerned. And Anna seems to be of the view that if anything at all, it has to be completely equal. And do remember, we've been speaking to our colleagues across India, and they've been speaking to protesters. What everyone has said, that it's not over until Anna says it's over. Anna hasn't spoken at all. In fact, that's where we are stuck, and that's where we are stuck at Jantar Mantar right now.
Thanks for that. Stay with us. I'm just going over to Sunil Prabhu. Sunil, tell us, have you been able to see what the fine print of the government's proposal really is, whether there's a differentiation between the two heads from the activists and the government side? Sunil, just being it's difficult to get across to you with these communication lines. Just saying, do you know what the government's proposal really was regarding the chairmanship of or the joint chairmanship of this joint committee? Was there a differentiation in the statures of the heads who the activists would appoint and the government would appoint?
Well, I can tell you from here that the news that has come in is really a setback to the government. They were hoping for that official announcement from Mr. Anna Hazare that this matter would be resolved. The fact of the matter is now they're back to the drawing room stage. Clearly the government has been working out. They had been given the political mandate to find and resolve this matter. It's something that they will see as a big setback because they had conceded to most of the demands. In fact, I could share with you that the government had really conceded beyond doubt about how they wanted a chairman. They wanted a co-chairman. They agreed to that. They wanted a government order. That was also acceptable. Now, of course, the changing goalposts by Mr. Anna Hazare. Now he wants there to be the two chairmen. We heard the entire nation watched him speak at 6 o'clock this evening when he said there should be a chairman and a co-chairman. Now he wants them to have equal powers. Of course, the government at this stage is wanting to resolve this matter. It says it's ready to negotiate and it will continue in terms of a convener or whatever. But they're clear that they want this matter to be resolved and they want Mr. Anna Hazare to end his fast. So clearly that's the focus of the government. That's the mandate that they have been given. And as they heard Mr. Anna Hazare, they would be going back to really discussing how to take this forward. But clearly the decision is to somehow find a resolution to this impasse. And that's what the efforts that's going to be from the government.
Well, there you have it. That's the verdict at this point coming in from Delhi. Now, again, some sticky points in the compromise formula that was offered by the government. That has, of course, been the stature of the two chairmen that has been offered by the government. So the government rolled its dice and was hoping that perhaps Anna would take the bait, but not happening. That's the sense coming in from Jantar Mantar at this point. The activists are not happy. The protesters are not impressed, and they are looking for an all-or-nothing approach. They are demanding equal stature of the two chairmen of this committee that's the one proposition that was put forth. So again, some sticky points continue, but importantly, the sense that we are getting is that the fast will continue and that a final decision perhaps can be expected tomorrow morning. But as of now, sources do reveal that the fast by Anna Hazare continues. But of course, one critical factor, one factor that catalyzed this whole movement was the public support that Anna Hazare has seemed to enjoy over the past 3 to 4 days and really revolutionized the way civil society portrayed its sense of being. And of course, echoing Anna's call to stem the menace of corruption plaguing the country, a group of differently able persons accompanied by lawyers took up a Gandhian approach of protest right here in Chennai. Now, hoping to take down the industrialists, the judges, the doctors and the government servants involved in bribery, the group looks at gaining more support from the student community.
Here in Chennai City as well, there's a group of representatives here, in fact, from the differently abled community who've done the same and hoping to make a difference, to maybe even send out a message to the leaders of our states and our governments to really get their hands off that filth and corruption that we have seen in the past few scams. Joining me is Deepak. Deepak, why is this so important for your community and what are you trying to say through this?
Like any other citizen of this nation, we are also hit by corruption as well. Well, to cite an example, in the districts, we have an office called the Differently Able Welfare Office. Well, there are lots of been corrupted offices there. The disability department is corrupted as well. Well, in fact, the government gives, by policy, government gives 500 rupees maintenance allowance for the mentally impaired children for their maintenance. Well, what happens is that it doesn't come every month. It accumulates, and then when the disability officer gives it, he demands some money. And bribe, yeah. In fact, it's so unfortunate that doctors want money. Government doctors want money to give disability certificates.
Okay, Rajiv, how do you think a Lokpal bill can really do the difference that we've not seen perhaps in the last few years?
Basically, Lokpal bill have to have enough teeth to make an impact. Otherwise, it will be like many of the laws which are not implemented.
We are in a state that's going into elections in maybe 5 days from now. Is it too late to really send out a message to our political leaders, or is it better late than never?
I would say better late than never. For simple reason that it's time the politicians understand that they are representatives and they are not our masters. So we're all joining hands together to see if our nation can step up well. What Anna Hazare has started off is a great movement, and I think all the youth of India should support this cause. Clearly, the state has been in the corruption list, and we wanted to forgive those elders who have made the corruption and wanted to see if we could at least clean this, at least now.
So a sense of forgiveness setting in, perhaps giving them a second chance as well. But this is the final one, right? This is the final one. That's the message coming in here from the different representatives here who've gathered here in Chennai.
Well, indeed, support pouring in from all quarters. No one seems to be too big or too small for this movement that seems to have galvanized the whole nation. In fact, Shah Rukh Khan a little while back, the Badshah of Bollywood himself, spoke out in support of this cause. Let's listen in.
You see, so many people are speaking so many things about it right now, and I don't think anyone in the country or any person in our country is for corruption. And so the idea is very clear that, you know, anything that can weed out anything which is negative in our country should be followed. And this is one way to do it. It's nice and peaceful, so very good. I wish them all the best.
Well, shifting focus from that emotional note, Ambadur could be on the road to recovery. At least that's what a contestant is saying and promising from this constituency. Meet this new face when we come back.